Welcome to the Spare Parts Racing Podcast, your podcast for all things motorsports. With your hosts, Sean Chavarella, Stephen Clary, and Taylor Moore.
Hear that music?
Hello and welcome to another week of the Spare Parts Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Sean.
I'm Stephen.
And I'm Taylor.
And friends, how are we all doing this week?
You don't have to sit like that the entire time, Taylor.
I'm just trying to sit. Okay.
Even trying to fix the mic, she cuts out. That's hilarious.
So, for everyone not watching, Taylor's not in her usual spot. She is dog sitting this weekend. And
I am.
is using, I don't know, some janky 2009 headphones, it looks like, to record off of.
2009 headphones?
I don't know.
Sir, no.
What are they?
These are special edition Mickey Beats from like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Has Beats changed their headphone design in the last 10 years? I'm going to say no.
Probably not.
In the last 3 years?
They're still not worth it. Anyway.
Okay, well, we have to make do with what we have this week because I'm not in my normal space.
Yes. Oh, well. Anyway, so despite all that, we are here to talk about quite a fun weekend of on-track action.
Absolute shit show, I think, is the best. Well, in two of three series.
Yeah, for different reasons. But it was quite the weekend. Yeah. Which is kind of nice because I'm kind of glad that there was some drama or at least something happening in F1 because Jeddah is my least favorite circuit on the schedule. So at least something happened. Otherwise, I would have hated the whole thing.
Yeah.
So at least something came out of it.
Enough drama to talk about. Not just, oh, yeah, that was a good race. Yeah. Like, there is drama. There is shit happening. And we get to at least, talk about it. So, I guess let's start with Taylor's least favorite race of the year in Jeddah. The Human Rights Abuse Grand Prix. I mean, Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Yeah, there's a multitude of reasons why I hate this race. I mean, first and foremost, obviously, it's Saudi. And I just hate the layout of the circuit. Like, it's it's dangerous. It's way too fast. You can't see shit most of the time, and it's just really annoying.
Okay, to be fair, and this is something I realized through, I think, some of the trackside cameras, I no longer think this track is as dangerous as it was before. Only because
they have changed it, though, right?
Almost the entire thing is lined with safer barriers. Which you only notice that on some of the angles, like on the opening laps, from the low angles on the track, and they're going through it. I was just watching the wall, and I'm like, that's a safer barrier. That's a safer barrier. And to install a safer barrier on a, I guess, temporary street circuit as such, I think it's pretty good. And let's be honest, you see in NASCAR and IndyCar, those things take a hell of a hit, and drivers are okay. So maybe it's not as dangerous as we kind of think of it, because everyone thinks it's a concrete wall there, like a usual street circuit, but there is actually more to it than that.
Well, and especially with the speeds that this track has, like, we just have to look back to Mick last year wrecking in qualifying, right?
Yeah.
True.
You can see the extent of the damage. And then you just look at how fast these guys are going at some of the fastest speeds of the year at this track. So, yeah, any sort of safety is good.
Yeah. However, in terms of actual wrecks this week, this was a clean weekend.
Yeah.
I was actually shocked. I was shocked it wasn't a shit show on track, which I thought it would be because it usually is. Usually something happens on track. But it was clean.
Yeah.
It was almost too clean. It was weird. Not that I want there to be, wrecks or anything like that. Obviously, we don't want that. We don't want anybody to be endangered, but it was just very surprising.
Yeah, I think there wasn't an actual incident until qualifying one practice was free, then qualifying, and the instance you had was like guys looping it, or Logan was it Logan Sargent that stopped up it? Yeah, he kind of like looped it and kind of into the wall, but he was still fine. But yeah, like it was a surprisingly clean weekend, and that was pretty good. And
Here for it.
So Taylor, I just want to ask this before we kind of get more into it. How'd Charles Leclerc do? Just want to drive that knife in and give it a little twist.
Hey, he did better than where he was. You know, he qualified well. He had a grid penalty. We knew that going in, but decent drive to get up to 7th.
I just want to point this out for Ferrari. It took 2 races to use up 3 components.
I know.
They are truly impressive.
Honestly, I think that is one of the quickest grid penalties. That probably has to be the quickest grid penalty since that system has been introduced, of a team starting the season and already being out of components by the second race.
Yep.
Well, you know, it happens.
It's truly a wonder how anyone can be a fan of Ferrari.
But you know, okay, rude. But I am going to say, Fred Vassar, he is a total vibe. Like, did you see his grid interview with Martin Brundle?
Can't say I did now.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. The man is just like, he reminds me of, oh, of course, now I don't have my like comparison to make, but he's kind of like a big teddy bear that just laughs a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's sort of what he was at Alfa Romeo too. The one thing that circulated when he signed was him shooting a water gun, I think, at someone.
I mean, maybe
it's like this is the man running Ferrari. Fantastic.
Maybe being uptight's not a good thing in management. Looking at you, Bernardo. Yeah. Just saying.
Yeah. So I find him hilarious, and maybe it's a good fit, but you know, I don't know. I'm already in pain. So much for the hope. Like, the hope part of my train has been wildly derailed.
Mine's doing fine.
You know what, Sean? That's nice for you.
But yeah,
I'm happy for you.
So this race had Max and Leclerc both starting back in the pack due to penalty and, I don't know, Red Bull having an issue?
Drive shaft.
That's fair.
So, you know, minorly important component to a race car.
There's a little bit of, I would say, like, reliability issues in that car. On that Red Bull. I'll say. Because both races, they've talked about, like, seemingly having an issue with it on the radio. Like, hey, don't, like, kind of back it off. Like, we're up ahead and let's not push her. So I feel like, you know, if one of the other teams can actually catch up to Red Bull and they actually have to push harder, you might see some more failures in Red Bull. Mm-hmm. Granted, a lot of teams have to go a long way to catch up. So maybe they can just keep managing it the whole season.
Yeah. I mean, they've proven that they have enough of a gap that they can just tune it down a little bit and get through each race. You know, something that Ferrari couldn't afford to do last year when they had their reliability issues. You know, they had to push in order to keep up. Be at the same pace. Yeah. Well, the first couple races they were at the same pace, right? They were doing well up until Miami.
Yeah, basically.
Then you know, there was also, we won't talk about the shooting in the foot. If you want to hear that, just listen to basically everything from Miami forward from our podcast last season. It did get very repetitive at the same time. So, but yeah, they have that nice ability. So where did Checo? Checo was 20 seconds ahead of Alonso by the end of this.
That's almost a second a lap. Because that's
half
also
a second a lap.
Yeah, half a second. Because that's not counting the safety car, which bunched them all up.
Yep.
But like, it was amazing watching the Red Bulls in qualifying, seeing the sector one time, seeing everyone being really close, and they go through that high speed, I guess, second sector, and they're up 2/10. And they go back to the second high speed sector, they're up another 2/10. That Red Bull is incredible in high-speed corners.
Yeah.
In the other ones, maybe not so much. They're kind of vulnerable. So if you're other teams, or if you're me and Steven have a gambling addiction, you're looking to beat Red Bull at like Australia coming up. Probably not. There's a lot of high speed there. But something like Imola, okay, you could probably get them there. Monaco for sure, they would be vulnerable. Hungary also. Anything that's tight and slow speed, you're probably going to have a good time of catching them.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where I'll be interested to see how this translates throughout the rest of the year, just on the different types of circuits that we see. So who knows, like maybe Red Bull doesn't win every single race, but I don't know. Like they just look incredibly fast regardless of their vulnerabilities. And when you have the pace like that, I really don't know if other teams will be able to develop the same way to catch up to them by the end of the year.
Yeah, because teams are going to develop to catch up to them, and Red Bull's going to develop to be even faster. So,
exactly.
Yeah, there is a lot of teams that are going to be kind of, okay, we're done this year. I'm not even going to put resources to it, everything to next year, because at some point it's not worth it.
Yeah.
At least at the front of the grid, I should say. The mid-pack this year, okay, can you call it a mid-pack? Like,
yeah.
Yes.
How would you guys divide up the grid this year in terms of like a front runner, back marker, mid-pack?
So obviously Red Bull at the top.
Yeah, they're the front runner.
Well, and I'd say they're also a bit of a league of their own right now. Then you sort of have Aston Martin, Mercedes. I'll throw Ferrari in there as well for now. I don't think they've
Ferrari
shown...
has the pace. You've seen it in qualifying.
They have the pace, exactly. So
they're just having issues.
And I think towards the end of the year, we're going to see Ferrari be a lot closer as Vassar gets more and more influence. Again, we said it 2 weeks ago, like he's been there for a hot minute. You know, so how much influence has he had on this car? I don't think a lot. And a lot of their focus, as we just mentioned, they had reliability issues last year. They probably went mostly into, okay, we've got the speed. How can we make this reliable now? That would have been, I think, the big offseason focus, especially when you don't have firm direction because you don't know who's coming in.
Yeah.
So I'd put those three as our Formula B, and then C is what? Your Alpine.
I put Alpine up there.
Yeah?
Alpine is quick. Like, I think they do have pace.
They're kind of in between, like cause if I'm looking at the grid, I'm seeing, okay, Red Bull is your front runner. They are number one.
Yeah.
Your mid-pack is now Aston Martin to Alpine. And then your back markers are the rest of the 5 cars fighting for those last point spots.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like,
because I think like looking at who was passing who, like there was good passes by multiple teams in the last race. The race before, not quite as much. Like it's I'd say you got 3 distinct tiers. I don't disagree with that.
And like you had some really good fights in the midfield this race that we also didn't see a lot of, which is something you could say if you watch the Mercedes domination era. That was kind of the way it was, where there was great fights always happening, especially for those last points paying positions. Like that's what Drive to Survive was originally about. The other teams who weren't the top teams fighting for those last points. Now Drive to Survive is massive and it covers everything, but it's that bottom 5 teams now that are really fun to watch, and that fight is fascinating, especially in terms of how the constructors are going to play out. Like McLaren's last. Can we appreciate that right now?
Yep. Yeah. They haven't shown anything the first 2 races. Now you can put a lot of that on technical in Bahrain. This race, they just look slow. Like
they do. They look really slow.
Like they were, of the running cars, 2nd last and 4th last.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like Piastri retired, right? Like he DNF'd this race.
No.
Yes?
No.
No? Did they both finish?
Nope.
He DNF'd last race.
Oh, only DNFs this race were Stroll and
Albon.
Okay. Albon had the brake failure that then he went by the pits. It's like, buddy, you sure you don't want to stop if you can't stop?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just mixing up my weekends, but still though they don't look good this year at all. They don't have really anything to show.
The only sign of hope that you really had or have had so far is Piastri made Q3 at this race.
Right.
So that's a hopeful sign, but a 1 lap pace isn't everything come Sunday when it really, really matters. Like if you're going to have a 1 lap pace, but then just fall off.
We saw that with Haas a few years ago.
Yep. And they did have an incident which sort of pooched both their races, funny enough, with each other on lap 1. So, that doesn't help either when you have to double stack your pit on before you even cross the start finish line for the second time. So, there is a sign of hope, but it's not very bright.
Yeah, let's be honest. They've had some bad luck the first 2 races. Are they the worst team on the grid? Probably not. Are they somewhere in that backpack, I guess? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could they be the top of it? Yeah, they probably could. By the end of the year, they should probably be up there with Alpine and Alfa Romeo, for sure.
I don't know, but we'll see.
The only thing is every other team that they're now fighting will have an advantage in terms of wind tunnel time and development.
Yes.
So if you're already on the back foot and everybody else around you has an advantage, that's also not a great thing. But I think you can also put Norris and honestly in the race and a quarter that Piastri's had in 2 weekends, I'm willing to give him some more time to say he's looked pretty good so far.
Let him cook.
Yeah, exactly. So we know the car is bad. Let's be honest, and he drove it to Q3. Like I saw that, I thought it was an error.
I mean, if Max had driven.
No, but he was still 9th.
Oh right,
he still made it.
Yeah.
That's the funny part.
Fair enough.
And again, I was still like, are we sure that's not Norris or like just anyone else other than? But no, he's shown he can do stuff with some pretty bad equipment so far. So.
Okay, I want to talk about some of this drama.
Which one? There was kind of 2 big ones.
Oh, there was 2 big ones?
What were you gonna say?
Okay, so it's not really drama, I guess, but more like, well, I guess it was after race drama. So the big thing that, first and foremost, the big thing that happened was Alonso's penalties. So why don't we start with that, and then we'll move on to the other thing, because the Alonso thing was weird. I
thought you were going to talk about Jos Verstappen being an absolute asshole again.
Oh, okay. No, well, it's wrapped up in the other thing, but that's another thing. So it all gets wrapped up.
Okay. So yeah, Alonso's penalty. Alonso finished the race, got his 100th podium. Then,
yay!
First of all, Alonso had a fucking penalty to start the race because he did the exact same thing that Ocon did last week, which is line up slightly outside the grid slot.
It was deserved. It wasn't exactly slight. There was a very noticeable gap.
Yeah, it was. But technically, it's not like you're gaining a advantage being forward. It's side to side, which they even said in the broadcast doesn't really give an advantage in dry conditions, especially when you're off the racing line like he is anyway. But in wet conditions, it could.
Yes, and for consistency's sake, which funny enough we'll get to in a couple seconds, you gotta run it consistent. You gotta keep it consistent regardless. Just always be in the box. It's not that hard. You're not gaining an advantage. You're not getting a disadvantage. So I don't know, and I'm pretty sure
in the box, right, Steven?
Yeah, exactly. I don't even there's really no reason. Again, it's not like he got a huge advantage or any advantage. So I don't really get it. I think it was mostly because he was doing burnouts down the straight, trying to warm up everything.
Maybe.
But
He just aligned it wrong.
Well, that's 2 races in a row. Someone's missed a grid slot. Is there a visibility issue down the front of the car? Maybe. But if you remember, the mirrors this year are bigger and further out. Is that screwing with guys where they're seeing, where they're looking? Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. That's either way. That's
if we see it again in Australia, we know there's a problem.
Yes.
If someone does it again, then yes, I think that there would be credence to that. But who knows?
Please be one of the Red Bulls.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
That'd be so funny.
Even back in the day where guys were angling their cars in the grid box, I feel like you can't even do that nowadays because the grid, I don't think the car cannot fit in the grid box.
I think it's a perfect fit, when it's lined up correctly.
Can we give it a couple inches on either side?
Yeah, and then also shorten it a little bit.
Yeah, we just give 6 inches. That's all we need either side. It's just good 6 inches.
Okay,
it's a massive
literally.
difference.
My mind, when you were just is it a couple inches? I was like, wow. My mind just went immediately well, that's pretty small.
I think a couple inches is massive. So that's,
right,
right,
it's
Steven?
a massive
exactly.
It's a massive difference.
Huge
when you're racing with the wheel, a couple inches is massive.
Anyway.
It's all about the girth.
But yeah, so Alonso was out of the box, so he had to then serve his penalty, which was deemed to not be served correctly. On the last lap of the race, it was deemed that.
Yeah.
So.
When did he pit again?
What was it, lap
I don't even remember,
22,
to be honest.
Lap 15?
Yeah, okay.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Where is he?
Because I was
lap 18.
Okay, because he pitted early in the race and then didn't pit again. And at the end of the race, I'm sitting there did Alonso even pit? Do we know?
That was the thing was terrible with this track, is there was no strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It was, okay, start medium or soft, or some idiot did the hard. Started who would think that was a good idea. And then you pit, and then you go. That was it. That was the race.
Yeah.
One stop, everyone did it at the safety car or around the safety car, and then there was no strategy the rest of the way.
Yeah. So
back on topic here.
Yes.
Anyway, so they finished the race. Alonso, okay, that finish, though, beautiful. Fantastic. I loved it. It was so tight. What?
Which finish was tight? I'm confused.
Yeah.
Alonso.
The pair is winning by 5 seconds.
No, I'm talking about So we knew that on the last lap, Alonso got a 5-second penalty for not serving it correctly in the pits. Correct?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm talking about between George and Alonso, because George at that time was 4 seconds behind Alonso. So when you watch. And George knew, right? They communicated to him that, okay, Alonso's got a 5-second penalty. Get it within that time and you're on the podium. Okay, so watching that, knowing that penalty was coming down and seeing Alonso push the way he did, I thought was fantastic.
Fair enough. Okay, fair.
That's what I'm talking about.
However, it wasn't a 5-second penalty.
Well, it turned out.
It was 10, which is stupid, right?
Well, okay, it was 10. They made it 10 after the podium celebration.
Yes.
What the heck? So they've all celebrated. They've all done their thing. Yay, 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 yay. Champagne spray. 10-second penalty. Podium stripped away.
Here, George, here's a trophy. I'm keeping the ball.
Here, George. Here's the trophy. George posts on Instagram. Woohoo! First podium of the year. Alonso reinstated podium.
Did you see Alonso's photo today?
Which one? The forehead one?
Yeah, the forehead one was knocking the door. I want that.
That one was hilarious.
I want the trophy back. George.
Yeah.
George, hello.
that was really funny.
The memes were strong because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what a freaking mess.
So first of all, the fact that it was a 10-second penalty, I think is stupid. Because if you didn't serve a 5-second penalty properly, then the 5 seconds should just be added on regardless, even though you stopped for 5 seconds. So you basically serve the penalty, even though you did it incorrectly. So we're just going to throw another 5 seconds on there, right? To me, that would make more sense. Not, well, you screwed up 5 seconds, so we're going to give you a 10-second penalty.
I just don't,
kind of.
I don't understand what the FIA was doing, honestly.
I hate this game of basically spin the wheel of what's it going to be when it comes to penalties. Like in all sports right now, penalties is the stupidest thing because there is no consistency in anything.
Well, I was going to say there's
talk about NFL and pass interference, hockey with I don't know,
bane of my existence.
Sure. Offsides.
MLB with strike zones. Everything is just
It's a complete pandemic when it comes to penalties, but also the video review, because that's the whole reason we were in this mess to begin with. Because now, after Abu Dhabi, they've implemented this. Was it the ROC in Geneva, right? And they're apparently the ones that made the call that, like, oh yeah, they were touching the car prior to the penalty being served. So now we're going to hand them a penalty.
Touching the car because like the jack touched the car.
Yes, but anyways, I don't get how basically their version of video review or VAR, whatever you want to call it, I don't get how it took them, what was it, 20 laps to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't it done immediately?
If it's that fucking close, maybe it didn't offer that much of an advantage, or if you can't see it absolutely clearly, just leave it. This is not just the FIA, though. This is where I am pointing my rant for today, but this is going across all sports, because some of these things are just getting so ticky-tacky, and so like we're going in with like the 40x zoom to try and see if like someone's ass hair is touching something else at this point, or not touching something. Like, so Sean, you made the thing of what was it, football with catches. Oh, did the ball bobble half a millimeter? Oh, it did. Well, that amazing catch where the guy's gone up 3 feet in the air and then fallen down another 6. Yeah, shit, that's not a catch. Hockey. Oh, this guy's skate blade was a millimeter offside 40 seconds before a goal was scored. That's not a good goal. Damn. Yeah, it's getting absolutely ridiculous with some of this stuff, and I really think they're gonna need to do a statute of limitations if this is how they're gonna call things.
Everything should be that. Yeah, like you.
Yeah.
And this is the thing the FA has done before, though, where they've made penalty decisions after the race for something that happened mid-race. If you're not gonna call it, like, unless it's something that happens like in the last 3 laps, you cannot call it later.
Yes, that is the single time where it's okay, because this is where racing differs from every other sport. The race does not stop while we review this. Hockey, it stops. Football, it stops. Basketball, it stops. MLB, it stops. They review it and everything stops. You can't do that in racing. If it happens in the last 2-3 laps, fine, so be it. You can award the penalty after the race. That's the only time. If you're doing this 30 laps after the incident, if you can't, I want to have it be so that way if it's like not figured out within 3 laps, there's no point, and obviously no advantage was gained. If you can't make a clear call,
like, there was no advantage there. Like, that's the biggest thing. You penalize for an advantage.
Yeah, or if it's so clear cut that he is touching the car or working on the car, whatever the verbiage is, call it then. Why did it take 30 laps to figure out, oh no, they are touching the car? You have how many high definition cameras looking at this thing, right?
I love how fired up you're getting about this. I think this is the most energy you've ever put into a show. It's fantastic.
Probably. I've had 4 coffees today, which doesn't hurt. This is again, as a hockey fan, football fan, baseball fan, this is like a passionate topic for me. Like,
valid.
Yeah, that's very honestly very valid.
If you can't figure it out in like 3 minutes, you get 3 minutes to figure it out. Yeah.
To their credit, they did go. Well, they didn't go, but when Aston Martin did their right of appeal, they said, "Hey, look at all these videos that we took very quickly." I don't know how they gathered 7 different instances of pit stops where a penalty wasn't applied, but the rear jack touched the car in every single one.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And there was never a penalty applied there. So the FA went, fine. If that's how we're calling it, then that's how we're going to call it. Our bad. We'll rescind the penalty. So really, they actually went, like, that's a rare thing in sports, right? Where it's well, you're calling this. Why didn't you call that? You're right. I'm not going to call it. That never happens.
Yep.
So the FIA
Yeah,
actually
true.
did good here, and they said, "Yep, okay, fair enough. Our bad. We'll
reinstate it."
Yeah.
Yep. But now, so if you're Esteban Ocon, are you not sitting there like, what the fuck is this bullshit? I had to take a 10-second penalty on top of like 4 other penalties.
Didn't they touch his car though? Didn't they actually touch it?
Well, and so that's
actually
the
did touch
thing.
it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They apparently touched it like half or just before the penalty rolled over. I think the other thing that needs to happen here is because the other thing. Okay, so 2 things. You can do an official clock, and I think the other thing is get the gray zones out. Is it we're not touching any part of the car, no equipment, no hands. So basically no equipment or no personnel are touching the car for 5 seconds. As soon as that goes, like there's a green light or something, they can work on the car. Good. But it's like the verbiage right now is working on the car.
Like based on that,
and that's the other thing.
You can't grab the tires you're going to put on the car because they're going to be on the car. So
exactly,
we're just going to let them.
Exactly. It should just like this should be a really easy fix of no touchy. Nothing. No equipment, no personnel on the car for 5 seconds. As soon as you get the green light, it's a 2-second stop, out you go.
Yeah.
That's how it like get rid that's the other pet peeve I have with every fucking sport is like gray zone rules where it's just like, well, it's open to interpretation, so this is how I'm going to call it today because that's how I feel like it.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess.
Just gets every league, every sport needs to just hire someone to like hire some dumbass who has no idea what's going on with the sport and just have them read the rule book. If they can't figure it out in again 5 minutes and give you a clear like read the rule back, you need to change it. It's sort of
just get a bunch of idiots to simplify everything. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I sort of had this thought on my commute home today. Like there's that old George Carlin quote talking about politics where it's like, think about how stupid the average person is. And then remember half of them are dumber than that. And now I'm not calling people like fans stupid, but with how deep some of these rules get on like the subsets of rules.
Section A,
think about how
B, dash
exactly.
C.
Think about how
point.
Think about the
yes.
Think about the depth of knowledge the average person will have on this, and just remember that the other half are not going to go any deeper than, they touched the car, so that's why it's a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% agreed. Honestly, 100% agreed. I will never, ever get that rant out of my head, specifically for the let's check if there's an ass hair over the line. Never forget that. So thank you for that, Steven. That was fabulous.
But at the end of the day, I think the FAA got it right.
Yes.
Yes,
they
did.
In the end, despite being stupid to get there.
Yeah, it was messy as heck, but they did make the right decision in the end. So
and we got some good memes out of it. So like,
yep,
it's fine.
Shall we move over to like the messy?
Oh, the Verstappen thing.
Go for it.
Let's move over to the Verstappen boys.
You guys can take this one. I'm done my rant for today.
That was Steven's rant session.
Yeah. So, Taylor, your turn.
Oh, it's a rant. I'm so annoyed.
Did you see the alternate angle? Okay, so explain what the hell happened. After the win, Perez was going through the line, hugging everyone. Jos Verstappen just sits there all
miserable.
Not even like doesn't even move and like around him.
Doesn't even mumble.
However, there is an alternate angle and an extended version of that from behind, where after he goes past Jos, he then goes back the other way. Jos reaches out, grabs him, shakes his hand, says something to him. He does actually congratulate him after. But at the same time, Jos, when the camera's on you, don't be a fucking asshole like that.
I know. And see, this is the thing. Okay. Well, and that's like one part of it though. Like the other part of it is also like Verstappen's attitude towards not winning. Now,
wonder where he gets it from. Abusive parents,
obviously.
Much?
Yes. However, like the asterisk is I have seen that it is possible that the media is picking and choosing certain things that Verstappen said that he said on Saturday about qualifying and not actually after the race. But regardless, it is being circulated that he said, I'm not here for second place. I'm here to win. And you can also see, his second place, he didn't really, he went into the pits. He didn't really look excited at all. And I'm like, for someone who drove from 15th to 2nd, be a little bit more jazzed about that, dude. You could be sitting in 10th. You could be sitting outside of the points, but the car is good, good enough and has enough pace for you to be there at 2nd. I understand that you want to win every single race, but come on. Be happy for your teammate.
The quote of "I'm here to win," I don't think that is bad. If Perez had said that quote midweek or something, everyone's like, yeah, he wants to take the fight to Verstappen. It's not a bad thing to I'm not here to be second. I want to win. Yeah, makes sense.
It's a good attitude, or not a good attitude, but it is the championship mindset that you need to have to get to this level.
And we had years of Rosberg Hamilton where the second place guy was upset and just I don't know what happened.
But and I get that, but it's also the second race of the year where you're probably going to win the bulk of them, and I really don't think that we need to question whether or not he's going to get the 3rd championship in a row. So it's you can take some time out of your massive ego to at least congratulate Perez for his first race win of the season. That's all I'm saying.
We're actually just setting this up for a Red Bull Wars we're gonna get to. Because...
I want 2016 done again.
Yeah.
I want that so bad. Let them wreck each other in Spain. Do everything the same.
Let's say Australia comes up and they wreck each other into one in Australia. Oh boy, it's on. Because even the way they were post race, being like, "Did you get the fastest lap? Did you get the fastest lap?" Kind of going against what the team was saying, because the team was telling them both, "Stop it."
Yeah.
And they just
especially Max, you're already having issues. Nah, I'm just gonna keep driving as is, keep pushing.
Yeah, I hope that they actually. I hope they do come to blows at some point.
Yep.
If they come together in Australia, this season is all of a sudden amazing because there will be sparks between them the entire way.
Yeah. I feel though it's just. I love Checo. And I really think he deserves where he's at, and he deserves to be winning. He is a good driver. It sucks. I know that he stepped into that position knowing that he was always going to be forced to be Max's shadow, but I don't think Max needs to be an asshole.
Yeah.
When you know you're good, and you know that you're probably going to be a champion, the champion again, do you really need to be an asshole? That's my question, right? And I think that's my problem with the whole thing, because I just find it completely unnecessary.
I mean, it's the same thing you thought with Hamilton being a winner, Max doing it. It's that championship mentality where I want to beat you no matter what, and I get it. It's annoying. It comes off as dickishness. But at the end of the day, it is kind of that. Every champion's like that. Schumacher was like that. Alonso was like that.
Oh, I know. That they're not like that, and that he's any different from anybody else. But it just pisses me off. Simple as that.
This is why we need Lance Stroll to win a championship, because he will be the most I don't give a fuck guy. Just being like,
yeah, it was a great time out there.
Yeah,
I'm happy for the team, man.
I don't know.
What accent
I have no idea what that was.
I don't know because he has he just talks so lackadaisical. It's kind of hard to.
He talks like he's stoned all the time.
Yeah,
he does.
That's a green
card.
Maybe that works.
You know what? If I ever start doing those impression videos that everyone's doing these days, there's all the presidents going around right now. That's what I should do. Every time I have to do Stroll, just get stoned.
That would.
And I'll talk like him every time.
That'd be good. But yeah, at the end of the day, the off-track stuff, as fun as it is to discuss, it kind of amounts to nothing this week.
Yeah.
It's like a little boiling bits. I'm just like, okay, maybe something's going to come out of this, but until it does,
maybe it's a thing to watch.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll watch that, and we'll see what happens.
Yes. Is that all we have for F1 this week? Anything else to add? Anything you want to talk about?
No, I think we beat that horse.
Yes. So let's move on to some NASCAR.
NASCAR.
Because
NASCAR.
we had Atlanta this week, and that was
hot Atlanta.
Interesting. It was actually cold Atlanta.
Yeah, no kidding.
It was cold Atlanta?
Yeah, it was freezing there.
Okay, so real talk. This was the first NASCAR race this season I didn't pay attention to. Mostly because I forgot that it was on TV.
This one is the race that pisses me off the most.
Oh, okay. Well, now it's time for Sean's rant session.
Oh, no, that's just because I lost money betting.
Oh, of course.
Okay, so let's be honest. For the actual Atlanta race, not a whole lot happened to the last 20 laps.
Okay.
It was a lot of green flag racing, which, again, good to see. I kind of wish we got some nuance with the strategy, but again, with as long as we have the stage cautions, that's not gonna. No, you can keep the stages like they will for this week in COTA. Just get rid of the caution. Keep racing.
I'm
keep
excited
going.
for COTA. That's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah. But it was a lot of green flag racing. The Fords were dominant.
Yep.
Pretty much all day. I mean, Logano led every single lap, I think, for the first stage.
Yeah. Right? Logano was really strong all day, and obviously he ended up winning. But it was a very clean race. I think there was like a few incidents here and there, but for the most part, green for a lot of it. Towards the final stage, there was a couple wrecks that kind of thinned out.
Almirola and Larson.
Yeah.
Bubba was. Oh no, that was like really early in the race.
Bubba survived the race. He still finished.
Yeah.
He had, I can't remember where he finished, but he had a decent result despite wrecking early. But anyway, the last 20 laps was really just two trains, really, kind of like your typical plate track. Your upper line and your lower line, and you actually had Keselowski leading for like 20 laps to go. Now, I bet on Keselowski for this race. I had him and
Shocker.
I had Blaney. I had him and Blaney.
Oh, boy.
Where's Blaney?
I also had Bell and I also had Bubba. Those were my four for this race.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought you had another one in the top five, and that explains it.
Yeah. So, what happened going into the last 3 laps, I am loving this because it looks like the bottom line has fallen away. It is, Keselowski is on it. He is looking strong. All of a sudden, literally, they take the white flag. I don't know what the hell happened the last lap. Logano comes out of fucking nowhere. And I'm like, no. Because, like, I had Keselowski first, and at the time he was getting pushed by Blaney, so I'm like, perfect. And at this point, Logano's like 6 car lengths back. Like, he has no momentum getting up there. And yeah, he had a huge run and passes them both. And I'm just there like, I went from possibly winning $40 on a $2 bet to none. So I was sad.
Shocker.
Oh my gosh.
The Sean curse
However,
continues.
I bet on Ford winning, so I still won that anyway. So
there you
go. Okay, there you
Look
go.
at that. Bright side.
Exactly. So I just made my money back, basically.
Yeah.
Well, big sad for me. Byron DNF'd, and I just saw that. Very sad now.
Yeah, and that was the funniest thing, because at one point in the race, he's, I think, in the top 3, and I sent Steven and you a Snapchat being like, can Byron fuck off? I don't want him to win another race. Literally, the next lap, he crashed. So, I want to feel like I had a part in that.
You probably did. Sean curse.
Good.
So, you know what? Screw you. I don't like you anymore. We're not friends.
We never were. Anyway.
Bullshit, you asshole.
Exactly.
Yeesh.
But in terms of drama stuff coming out of the NASCAR this week, Cup side, not a whole lot, you know? It was an okay race. Okay, it wasn't actually that great of a race. I think it was kind of 50-50 split on the, was it a good race-o-meter? So, that's what we call it. That's Jeff Gluck's poll, right?
Yeah.
Was it a good race? Yeah.
Love that.
So, I think
the Twitter people have decided.
40, so.
Okay.
But yeah, an Xfinity race, though, was the opposite of the Cup race because it was full of wrecks to begin with. Like, they couldn't stay green to start the race, and guys just kept losing it and taking other guys out, and yeah, it was a disaster. One of those early wreckers was it Josh Williams?
Yep.
So, what happened to him? Yeah, he got damaged in a wreck. They tried to repair it, but also it was so cold that the sticky big thing they throw on there, the big tarp of stickiness, I don't know what the heck that's called. That didn't stick well, so it came off and extended the caution they were already under. So NASCAR told them, okay, well, you're not getting up to speed. Your car is still damaged. Park the car. He goes, you didn't see where. Stops on this front stretch, gets out, walks over. And the best thing of it all, Steven, you know where this is going. His line afterwards, he said, what are they going to do? Fine me? I can't afford it.
Yeah.
So the penalty actually has been given out. He has been given a 1-race suspension, which probably actually saves him money because he doesn't have to run a race. So,
yep.
Especially its next race is code, I assume. So,
yep.
Yeah, fine. I'll take that. I'll sit out that one.
Yeah. And I mean, probably deserved.
Okay, deserved, but also it's just making fun of the NASCAR damage clock rule thing because it is absurd as well.
Yeah, you can't just park your car on the start. He basically just gave NASCAR the middle finger.
100%. It was great.
Yeah,
but you
can't do that. Yeah, what was it? I'll pay your fine.
Yeah, he was going to pay whatever fine he gets.
Denny, you gonna sit out the race there, bud? No, I don't think so.
Drives the car for him.
But yeah, that would be good.
That would be good.
Get the owner points. But yeah, I'd say deserved at the same time. Love them for it.
Yeah.
Great call to just say screw you guys.
And just, I don't know if you saw what Josh Williams looked like, Taylor, but he looks like also your stereotypical NASCAR guy.
Of course. I love that.
He's a little tubby. He's got a great mullet.
Oh,
great goatee.
Not the mullet.
You know what? He's got the look. It was fantastic.
It was great.
Man, I was very happy to see that. Taylor, you look disgusted.
I don't like mullets. They're so. Ugh.
So yeah,
okay. Anyway,
I think that's all we got for the NASCAR talk. Not a whole lot there. So we can wrap up with some IMSA talk.
Oh boy.
Because Sebring was this week, and my God,
what
ending
a shit
of
show.
that race was amazing.
The entire thing was a shit show.
Okay, yeah, it was.
I was gonna say, didn't they have a pretty decent crash in the first lap?
The first lap, the first corner, an LMP.
LMP.
It was one of the LMP3s is just sitting backwards as the GTs are coming down the straight, and I don't know how they all avoided it, but props to them.
Yeah, every spotter who was like, "Guys, sit middle of the track, go high, go low, don't be in the
inside." Yeah, stay inside, go outside. Don't kill that LMP3 2 seconds into the race.
Yeah, don't ruin your car immediately.
Yeah, we got 12 hours to go here.
Yeah, it was a great race actually. Sebring was.
Yeah, but there was a lot of little one-off wrecks. That's not a huge surprise, right?
Happens.
But yeah, and then in the last hours, where I think it's just the old saying of cautions breed cautions, right? It was one of the LMP3s lost a tire. The LMP3s were causing all sorts of problems.
Who drove up the back of the Porsche?
I can't remember, but that was also an LMP3 car.
Under caution, the LMP, I think, got a wave around and was passing out and just drove up the back of one of the what is it? It was
the number 6 GTD.
GTD.
Okay, it was the number 6 wheeling car.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
He was getting the flashing lights, but I mean, you also we're under caution. You don't need to drive up his ass. Maybe he hasn't gotten the radio message yet.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, it was really funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And then in the end, it all goes to hell.
Yeah. So again, it starts with someone loses a tire, causes one restart. Someone loses another tire on that restart, causes another restart. And so what happens is everybody is grouped together in the last hour, now pushing for a win. The GTD card.
Three different. At one point, you had 3 different cars, like 3 wide, down the back straight, wasn't it?
Yep.
Or front straight, one
yep.
of them.
Yep.
Hard
And
to tell,
the
Mike.
and the GTP, not the GTD. The GTP cars are all stacked up. I think the top 4 were covered by what? 2 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
And they get up in behind some GT cars and start swerving around into the slow left-hander and just take each other out. It is hilarious to watch.
So one Porsche car pushed the Wayne Taylor Cadillac off.
Yep.
And then they took each other off. And then the other Porsche who was behind them drove into the 2 of them, wrecking as they basically went off the track. So all 3 cars just get wrecked. The one Porsche gets launched in the air over the other one. That one finished the race. I think they came second, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So it was the Cadillac. Yeah, it was the Cadillac and then the BMW for the GT.
Oh, it was BMW. Okay.
Yeah. So the top 3, the 6, the 10, and the 7. So that was, I think it was Dane Cameron, Felipe Albuquerque, and Philippe Nazar.
Sure.
Those were the 3. Yeah, those were the 3 that wrecked.
Yeah.
And caused absolute chaos. And then you had Jack Aiken just sort of coasting through like, thanks, see you guys later.
We'll take it.
Yep. I'm a good 10 seconds ahead of the next GTP, so we're winning the 12 hours of Sebring.
Yeah, and they won. And so you had the Whelen Cadillac first, you had the BMW second, and then an LMP2 of Scott McLaughlin came home third, first in class, third overall.
Right on.
That happens.
Oh, that was such a fun end.
It was a really good race. Like, we're hitting that really a golden age of, I think, sports car racing. And not even to mention the before the 12 hours was the WEC race at Sebring, the 1,000 mile or something they call it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But that we saw the debut of the Ferrari or I guess the Ferrari hypercar it is.
Yes.
And they put that on pole. I think had some issues throughout the race, but again, first time running this car makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Ferrari car looks fun. That'll be good going to Le Mans.
Yeah, I was just thinking that it'll be good to see at Le Mans. It's going to be a good race.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, sports cars right now is really hitting its stride, and Sebring looked packed.
Yeah, they had a very good crowd.
They did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what series comes to CTMP?
NASCAR Pinty Series.
Oh, get out of here with that trash.
What?
IMSA.
Okay.
IMSA.
Yes, we can go to IMSA at CTMP. Are you marshalling?
Yes, of course.
Can you get us in for free?
Yes.
Down.
Yep.
Can get y'all in for free.
Can you get 14 people in for free?
14, probably not.
Damn it. I was going to say that. Sean, that's your bachelor party now.
Fair enough. I was going to say, do we know 14 people?
I was going to say, I was like, I can definitely get 4 in for free. 6 in for free.
Okay, we'll workshop.
Actually,
this.
probably 8. Hold on, 8.
Okay, you know what? Figure out the numbers later.
10, and then if it's at 10, you might as well.
I mean, if it's 10.
Okay.
Figure out the numbers later.
Yeah.
Clearly, we don't have a clear answer.
Finally, I think to wrap up the show, because we're getting a little squirrely now, NASCAR is at COTA this week. I want everyone to give me a prediction of who you think will win. I want to win a top 3 to top 10.
A win, a top 10, a top 10. And don't forget, we've got Connor Daly, Jordan King, Kimi Räikkönen, and Jensen Button in the field.
Ooh.
So.
Okay, hold on. Give me a second. Uno momento, por favor.
Sean, do you want to start? Because
I will start us off. My pick to win is going to be Ryan Blaney this week.
Okay.
My top 3 pick, I will definitely go with Daniel Suarez to be a top 3.
I like that pick.
And my top 10, I will pick of the guests, I should say, this week for Coda. It is going to be Kimi Räikkönen gets a top 10.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. Taylor, do you have your picks yet or no?
I do, yes.
Go for it.
So, the winner of this race will be Ross Chastain. Because why not?
I don't hate
The
it.
top 3.
Sure.
He was top... Okay, top 15, so sure. We'll go with it. Top 3, I'll say Byron. My boy Byron.
He has to make it out of the first corner.
Shut the fuck up. And top 10, I'm going to say Jenson Button.
I like it.
Okay. I am going to say Suarez for the win.
Ooh.
I like these picks. Okay, I like these picks because they're all on my fantasy team.
Fuck.
See, what Taylor doesn't realize is that we are still cursed.
That's true.
Whatever.
So
It's either we're right or you lose. So I feel like
it's a win-win for us.
It's a win-win. Fair enough.
So yeah, I'll take Suarez to win. Top 3. I don't want to say Jordan Taylor, but I kind of want to say Jordan Taylor because I feel like I'll curse him because he's in the number 9 this week, and I get the number 9 replacement until Chase Elliott comes back.
That's right.
Right, of course.
So, now I'll put Jordan Taylor as my top 10, and I'll put Blaney in the top 3.
Good pick.
Fair enough. Okay.
So,
all right.
It'll be
Blaney is cursed
this week.
Yes, and Blaney is cursed to never win a race ever again. So.
Anyway, I guess with that, thank you very much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll be back next week. Thank you, and goodbye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Spare Parts Racing Podcast. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and follow the show on Twitter at Spare Parts Racing. That's Spare Parts RACIN, and on TikTok at Spare Parts Pod. Follow the hosts at Sean Chavarella, at Stephen Clary, and at Tay Moore.